So greetings from Pennsylvania once again. It's time for another Bigfoot in Pennsylvania video. The last one we did was down at Brown Rocks, down in the Michoud State Forest. Today, we're pretty close to home, at least my home. Kind of why I chose this spot today. So this is the Appalachian Trail here in Berks County, Pennsylvania. And you might be able to hear the road traffic behind me. That is Route 183. That is where we are, where the Appalachian Trail crosses Route 183. We're on the west side. The trail goes ahead of us here. So the description of the encounter here isn't anything like overly thrilling or anything like that. I chose it for several reasons. One is because it's close to home, but also it does hit me in a different way too, because if you've been with me for a while, watch my videos for some years, you remember I built that survival shelter some time ago. I did camp overnight in the shelter, one night at least. I didn't sleep too well because there was other people camping in the area, playing music into the evening, into the night actually. Because that plays into our little story here too. This is a spot where people camp, especially on the weekends. So yeah, I had this is the area where my survival shelter was. So I have spent the night here in this area. So the fact that someone had an encounter here in this same area makes things a little bit more intriguing for me. So back that way is the highway, and throughout this area up here there are different campsites where people will camp. We're headed to one. The GPS coordinates I had for the encounter that I found online was more up in that way. We might go up that way in a little bit, but I'm going to go to a known campsite up here. I'm not sure how accurate those GPS coordinates are, if it's just for the general area, which is probably true. It might not be the exact spot of his campsite, but yeah. So I'll read that encounter to you in a bit. Just keep our eyes open. But remember, in the case with all these videos, I'm not going to tell you what to believe. It's up for you to decide what you believe happened here. I'm just going to tell you a story, and it's up for you to decide. You can stay down in the comments what you think happened here, or what, if it was a Bigfoot creature, if there's another explanation for what happened here. You decide. And as to why I chose this area for my survival shelter, there's a reason. This is federal land here, so I think why people camp here and stuff like that. Most state land, you can't just build a shelter on it. You know, state game lands, it's illegal to stay overnight even. State parks, you can't do that. You know, state forests, you can do primitive camping overnight, but you can't build any kind of a permanent, you know, structure like a shelter. But here on this section of land, there was no rules dictating what you could really do, none that I could find, so that's kind of why I had built it in this area. It's not there anymore. We took it down last spring, if you remember that video. Oh, ironically enough, I did a product review out at that site for some fire starting plugs from a company called Bigfoot Bushcraft. You know, at the time I didn't know about the Bigfoot encounter in this area when I did that video even. So it's all kind of a bit intriguing to me how that's all working together. But let's get up to the one campsite that I know is up here for sure. Because when I camped out here that one night at my shelter, there were people camping at that site. It is really quiet up here today. Alright, so I just passed the campsite back there. There was someone back there playing a guitar, some music. Hopefully the camera picked that up. But I was we're out here doing Bigfoot and like, you know, potentially paranormal stuff. And when I was hiking back there further, I kept hearing like music off in the distance, but there were no other cars parked at the parking lot. So, you know, here we are, you know, making a video on Bigfoot and, you know, creepy things like that, and you start hearing music off in the woods, you know. Yeah. Just kind of added to the art. It was just a through hiker on the Appalachian Trail. But right here's another campsite. I think we'll pick this one. Alright, so here's one of the campsites that people use. Like I said, the exact GPS coordinates were a bit more up that way, but this makes for a nice location. Yeah, there's another campsite up there. So people use this area and leave their water bottles behind. Alright. So I should mention that this encounter happened on June 1st, all the way back in 2009, not terribly long ago. So what exactly happened on that day? So I forgot my little notebook that had the story written down, but I have it pretty much in my head. It was just a short story. Apparently a man was out here setting up camp, and he mentioned that he saw about 35 yards away, he says, he saw a brownish, blackish, barrel-chested creature, barrel-chested meaning like a big chested creature, observing him make his camp. And he said that later that night there were screams in the woods, and when he got up the next morning he could see footprints throughout the area made supposedly by that creature. So that's all the description is. So it's not a long description, but like I said, because of the fact that I've been here multiple times, the fact that I've camped here overnight as well, about 10 years after that instance, probably back in 2019 is when I stayed overnight in my shelter in this area. I should also mention too, back here is where Fort Detrick Snyder is from the French and Indian War. We filmed that a couple times already. I can still hear a little bit of that music playing too, the guitar. So, like I said, that was really creepy when I was walking up here, because you could hear just a small amount of it out there. You know, does Bigfoot play the guitar? All right, but in all seriousness, you know, what was that guy? What did he see that night, that evening when he was out here? Like I said, you know, you decide. You let me know in the comments what you think he experienced. But we're just gonna chill out here for a little bit. I think on the way back I'm gonna walk back this way instead of hiking the trail. But as I'm sitting here, you know, thinking about the story, the first thought that comes to my mind is a bear. Maybe he saw a bear out here. You know, bears, you know, blackish, brownish creature. Barrel-chested? I mean, if a bear, sometimes bears do stand up on their hind legs. You can see how that barrel chest. He didn't really describe what the face or the head looked like, but maybe he couldn't see it all that well through the brush and stuff. But that's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't remember the story even saying that it was like standing up on its hind legs. He just saw a creature. Screams, that's a different story, but once again, there are different animals out here in the middle of the night. I think I mentioned in a previous video, deer do make these weird, like, grunting, screaming noises sometimes in the night if they sense that something's around. I'm not sure what else could be the screams could be. And the footprints, I don't know either. There was really no description of what the footprints looked like. But a bear is the first thing that came to mind, to my own mind. But in all fairness to this story, there are also a number of other encounters recorded to the east of this location. Maybe 10 miles east of here. 10 miles east of here, there's a cluster of encounters all in the same area, which I will do a video on later. So that might tie in to what happened here, or at least it's possible. There are trails heading off in that direction too. I think that's the way we're going to go when we head back. But speaking of footprints, I mean, today is not a good day really for footprint looking. It's been really dry recently. No footprints are going to show up, even though it's clear here. Yeah, that fellow playing the guitar, I think he had another instrument too. He just kind of went off that way a little while ago. I'm just trying to think too, you know, 35 yards off that way is a bit of a distance. Not terribly far, but I don't know. I'm trying to think. I wish there was more in the description of what he saw. rather than just a blackish, brownish, barrel-chested creature. Oh, I think he did say it was about 8 feet tall. Forgot about that. So that does. But if a bear standing up its hind legs could be 8 feet tall too. Not that it was a bear. I'm just saying that's a possibility. You just gotta remember that when you do stories like this, you gotta take into account both sides of the story. You know, these encounters aren't automatically true, and they're not automatically false. But you gotta try and take in both sides sometimes. Like I said, my first thought is a bear, but I wasn't here either, so, and there wasn't a whole lot more to the description. Once again, the screams, just like in the other video I made, the screams kind of throw me off. What was out here screaming? I got to take into account that all the other sightings that happened just to the east of here too. Alright, so the Appalachian Trail came in way up that way somewhere. We followed a trail, a blue blaze trail down this way into the camps here. There was some more up there where that guy was playing instruments, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go back this way. This is gonna take us more directly where the count took place, you know, GPS wise. I'm just not sure how accurate these GPS coordinates are though, because this takes us close to the highway. Most people don't camp that close to the highway. It's a little more peaceful right here. Let's see if there's anything here to see or to encounter. Yeah, it turns into a pretty well-defined trail up this way. Can't say that I've ever been on this trail. I've always come in on the Appalachian Trail, which is paralleling us just off this side. More up that way. What's that up there? There's something up here. I never saw it before. What is this? Has nothing to do with Bigfoot, but interesting. Huge piece of concrete with some okay. Well, that's new. All right. But there are trails going off all over the place here. Let's see where this goes. Another campsite maybe. But you have to take that into possibility too. You know, there's a lot of people come back here, especially on the weekends. So was it somebody else he saw? Possibly. I know that's, you know, if it's dark sometimes it's difficult to know. Alright, I don't really see anything back here. There are a lot of rock walls and stuff from people who used to live up here. Might be a place to explore in the future, just to come check things out more up here. And up here is another campsite. This one matches the GPS location where that fellow might have stayed. Right here. I just kind of wanted to get away from that traffic noise a little bit too. So this is a possible location for that encounter. But you see, like even here, you see how brushy it is off everywhere. It'd be very, if you saw something off in the distance, it'd be very hard to get a really good, clear idea of what it was that was looking at you. Which could help the story or work against it, either way. But we are not too far up on the highway again, so I'll probably end our little adventure here. But down, like I said, once again, you can comment down below. Let me know what you think. You decide. You know, is this just someone's tall tale? Did someone have a little bit too much to drink out here? Think they saw something, or is there truth to this story? Have you had an encounter in this area, or one of your own? Let me know what you think down below. But as always, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the next one.